Here's a story that we should have heard about. I don't know, maybe you have. I have heard nothing. I'll guarantee you this was not on the TV. Scott Galindis put this up at reader-supportednews.org. And he writes, thousands of Americans have descended on Washington to launch 1 week of civil disobedience under the banner Democracy Spring. Over 400 people were arrested today. That was yesterday, Tuesday. And over 3,000 have pledged to risk arrest over the next week. Their main demand is to get money out of politics. Now let me pause. Have you heard anything about this? Huh? Anything? Well, if you have, you are much more adept at digging through the bullshit that comes on television in our newspapers. I've seen not one photograph, not one article, not one editorial, nothing on the TV about this at all. Back to what Scott wrote. Before the marchers made their way to the Capitol, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks thanked the 200 people who walked 140 miles over 10 days from Philadelphia. Uygur pointed out that the mainstream media has ignored Democracy Spring and explained that the reason is that they are part of the establishment. Uygur said that the media don't want money out of politics. They depend on that money when it is used to buy campaign ads. Uygur declared that while this is just the beginning, they are no longer coming for us, but we are coming for them. Kai Newkirk, a lead organizer of the event, told the crowd that, quote, if we don't have a democracy that represents all of us, we are in danger of losing what makes America great, end quote. Newkirk went on to say, quote, we are here to send a message that there will be a political price to pay for siding with the money interests over the people, end quote. Now, this organization's website, Democracy Spring, the website says, quote, this week we began the process of taking back our democracy with hundreds arrested in our first mass sit-in at the Capitol on Monday, April 11th. My bad, it was a Monday. Now, day after day through Saturday, April 16th, we will continue to reclaim the Capitol in a show of hope and for the truly representative democracy we see in our hearts. Over 3,500 people coming to D.C. from near and far have pledged to risk arrest this week. And to give you just a brief flavor of what happened, thousands marched from Columbus Circle to the east side of the Capitol. There is a Columbus Circle in D.C. also, where hundreds of people, including Cenk Uygur and Kai Newkirk, made their way to the Capitol steps. They sat down and received warnings from the Capitol Police to move away from the steps or be arrested. Many heeded the warning and moved away from the building. Hundreds, in what is being billed as the largest civil disobedience action ever at the Capitol building, remained and were arrested one by one over 5 hours. Jesus, been there, done that. Before the arrests were made, Uygur addressed the crowd with a bullhorn and the people's mic from the Capitol steps. He said, quote, it's time for civil disobedience. They think they have all the power, but we have the people. We are tired of the corruption. We want free and fair elections. We want our democracy back. We want our government back. We want our country back. We want our Constitution back. We want our Congress back. Thank you all for fighting back. And then it goes on, this piece at Reader-Supported News, to fill in some more of what happened. Democracy Spring, what they're calling on Congress to do is to pass 4 bills. The first one is the Government by the People Act and Fair Elections Now Act. The Government by the People Act and Fair Elections Now Act. They also want the Voting Rights Advancement Act of 2015, the Voter Empowerment Act of 2015, and the Democracy for All Amendment. As the week goes on, many more high-profile activists will risk arrest, including Mark Ruffalo, Gabby Hoffman, Lawrence Lessig, Talib Kweli, and Zephyr Teachout. The coalition putting on the event is endorsed by groups like the AFL-CIO, the National Organization of Women. Isn't it the National Organization for Women? I think it is. And MoveOn.org. And on April 16th, Democracy Spring will be joined by Democracy Awakening, a broad coalition of organizations representing the labor, peace, environmental, student, racial justice, civil rights, and money in politics reform movements. According to their website, they, quote, share a firm belief that we will not win on the full range of policy issues we all care about until we combat attacks on voting rights and the integrity of the vote by big money. So, I'm just curious. Did you know this was going on? I'm surprised that I guess I'm out of the loop. Kathy, we used to be notified about events like this, but aside from not knowing that it was being planned and put into play, I've seen nothing about it. 400 people arrested. It took 5 hours to handcuff. They put this plastic shit on you that hurts. 5 hours to arrest people, and not a bit of video? Maybe Fox had something on talking about, look at the dumbass hippies, huh?